All right, good morning, everybody. I feel like saying good morning, everyone's going to be the thing that I always say. I feel like Carol Baskin saying, all you cool cats and kittens. Apparently, I say that on every webinar. So, good morning. I appreciate everybody joining me today. We're going to talk about some ways that you can market, whether it's now, whether it is in a week, whether it's in a year. I think the ways we're going to cover today, some of them bad, most of them good, are really going to help you. The title of the webinar is all the mistakes that I've made. This is not going to be a negative, sad presentation. The truth is, almost all the ways that have failed, that haven't worked for me, they have helped me find better approaches. So I'm going to run through some ways that haven't worked, but really, truthfully, the focus is going to be on ways that have. And more importantly, I think the thought process and the procedure for how you're going to come up with the ways, how you're going to execute them, how you're going to track them to see if they're working, and then ultimately how it's going to improve your business. So that's my plan here. I'm not going to list every way that I've possibly ever marketed, but I am going to talk about some that I think are common. I suspect that this is going to be like one of those marketing books you read that you say to yourself when you're done with the book, you say, damn, I could have thought of all this myself. I seriously, I could have thought of all of this myself. That's how I feel when I read most marketing books. But the truth is, I didn't think about all that stuff. I wasn't using all of those methods and systems. So reading that marketing book really helped me, even if it reminded me of things that once upon a time I knew. So I hope that this is similar for you, where you'll maybe look back and gain some new information and knowledge, but also have some ways to be reminded, I guess, of what you already knew. So everybody just saw a very good-looking guy who wanted to dress better than me, way better than me. In fact, I'm offended.
I think it's because you said I wouldn't look all dressed up for the webinar. So, you know.
Wow.
And also, respectfully, I'm your first guest. So I just, I didn't want to come in my normal, jeans and t-shirt.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, I talked to Alvaro about 15 minutes ago, making sure we're on the same page, and he had a t-shirt on. So literally, he went to just oversell me right now. Well, obviously, y'all can see Alvaro on the screen. If you don't know Alvaro, he is a law firm marketing operations systems expert. And I don't use the word expert very much. Alvaro helped me a ton when I first started getting, and he's still a sounding board that I use to this day. We talked, a week ago about some ideas. So like Alvaro mentioned, he is our first guest on whatever this show is, the Mike Rafi webinar series. And Alvaro and I, we're going to talk about a few things, only for about 15 minutes or so, let him run and do his more important stuff. But Alvaro, I led one of the emails by telling everybody you gave me a tip, 5-6 years ago, and you knew the tip. You called me. I
knew the tip, yeah.
Will you tell everybody what the tip is?
Yeah, it was on June 24th.
Are you serious?
2014.
Holy, okay.
At Corner Bread Cafe. Yeah. And basically, it's my staple. It's you always market an hour a day. And I don't care if you're crushing it, if you're always doing well. The highest and best use of your time is representing clients and finding new clients, and anything that takes you away from that, delegate it. And so if you're slow, you have more time than an hour to market, but you always market an hour a day.
Another tip, and this isn't directly marketing, but it frees up time for your marketing, is something that you told me, which is if you have free time, either market or make systems. Either market or make systems through practice, so that way you're not rehashing the wheel every time, and you can spend more time marketing.
Absolutely. I was trying to think of, what are, mistakes that people make that I see, and it's every practice area, and it doesn't matter if you're in Arizona, South Carolina, Georgia. There are two things. It's not having analytics, right? If you can't track your marketing efforts, you're just throwing money away. You don't know what's working. You're making emotional decisions. And another huge mistake is not having a goal. You know, do you want to increase revenue by 200,000? Well, then that means I have to make an extra 16,000 a month, which if my average case value is 8,000, I need 2 more cases, right? You know, and so what are my goals? Are they realistic? And then with my efforts, am I tracking them? You know, do I have some sort of process where I can see a report and say, yeah, that worked. Let's do more of it.
Yeah, so I hear you saying 3 things, which is make time to market, uh, track your marketing, and then have goals. Is that a fair?
Yeah, have goals. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing is really just what am I trying to do? You know, and some goals, if you need some, you can increase number of intakes, you can increase number of open files, you can lower your client cost acquisition, you can increase your conversion ratios, you can increase your average case values. There are so many goals. You can have revenue goals, but you need to have some sort of goal and see if it's even realistic. You know, hey, I want to go from 300,000 to 2 million this year. Is that realistic? No, not really. But if you want to go from 300,000 to 600,000, that's very realistic. That's a tangible goal. And so the first thing is, do I have goals in place? And then you want to have some sort of to do for that hour a day. And marketing, there are different verticals. There's web, right, which is what does look like on the front end. Does it have a chat box? Does it have social media buttons? Does it have a call to action? It's the back end. Am I doing organic? Am I doing pay-per-click? Then you have social media. That's another vertical, and that's Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn. It also depends on, you know, where your clients are. You have client campaigns, you have database campaigns, you have lawyer campaigns, you have conferences, blogging,
All right, all
speaking.
right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with, I'm going to talk about unique selling propositions a little bit later. But the general idea is you have this unique selling proposition, and then you're going to sell it to whoever your market is. Let's talk about how you find who your market is. So I've talked to you about this, where I feel like sometimes I've reached the end of my network. And I know that's absolutely not true, but I feel that way sometimes. Talk to me about, and tell everybody here, I know you are a fan of the tier system. So step 1 would be write everybody that you possibly can down on a piece of paper, who they are, who your contacts are, how you know them, and what their contact information is.
And what category? Like,
Okay,
is
well,
it?
you're
Yeah.
jumping the gun. You're always ahead of me. So tell me about categorizing them and putting these folks into tiers, because then I'm going to touch on later how you modify or how you target these people through a USP.
Sure. So you have your roster of people that you can get cases from, and there's trusted advisors and there's lawyers. And so for the lawyers, who are the lawyers that I don't take workers' comp, and so I'm going to give it to, you know, Sarah and Rebecca, right? Because they can handle it for me. Or I don't do bankruptcy, or I don't do family law. And I'm getting those phone calls. I need to put those people on my list. But then also, I tend to get cases from criminal attorneys, from other PI attorneys. And so write categories of the types of attorneys by their practice areas that you can send cases to and that can send cases to you. And for trusted advisors, these are non-lawyers, chiropractors, therapists, but make categories. And then for those categories, for personal injury, for instance, right? You've got your tier 1 guys who they handle, you know, 8 figures, 9 figures and up. And all they do is litigate, and their case count is maybe less than 15 cases. They will never take a $2,000 soft tissue case, right?
Yeah.
Below that, you've got your 6-figure, your 7-figure guys. Those are tier 2 guys. They litigate. They probably have some, you know, small tissue, but they're more specialized. Below that, you've got, you know, you keep going down. You're 50 to 100,000. And so put people in categories, because you don't want to refer somebody a case where that's not the type of client that they want. And so you need to be aware of, there is somebody who will always take that soft tissue case, somebody who just opened up their practice.
What about the reverse? So you have your contacts, and now you need to reach these people. So what are some ways that you can track the people you're trying to reach to get cases from? Tell me about the tracking methods that you use. I mean,
So
I'm not advanced.
yeah.
I use a spreadsheet, and I was going to show everybody it later.
Right. So there's 5 things that you should do. Every time I meet somebody, there's 5 things that automatically happen, right? I put them in my database so that I can find them later, right? I connect with them on social media so that they can still see me. I mark some sort of follow-up. Hey, based on our conversation, I need to talk to you tomorrow, or you're a once a year kind of touch. Um, the third thing is you send them some sort of thank you note, something that reminds them physically of you. And the last thing, and I honestly think this might be the important one, who in your network can you introduce them to? It's not just it's all about me. What can you send me? What can you send me? Or you get deflated because I'll never send you a bankruptcy case, but maybe the person next door to you can. And so you should meet my neighbor. So always do those 5 things. Connect with them on social, see who they know so that you can expand your network.
What
And
what
see, yeah.
what are some ways that I'm going to talk mainly about the ways that I do things, which I'm a person-to-person marketer
Sure.
for 2 reasons. One, I have the time. I don't have kids. I don't have obligations that some other people have. Second thing is I'm cheap, and I'm not going to go spend $100,000 or what. I don't even know how much some of these mass marketing efforts cost. What are some ways though that somebody who doesn't have the time, doesn't have the ability to go spend an hour at breakfast and then put in a full work day, or hit the hour at happy hour, or whatever it is, what are some ways you can reach people that, especially in the world we're in right now, literally
Yeah.
right now, how can I reach people without leaving my office or from home?
Phone calls, emails, a thank you card, a gift card, something that's, hey, I know everything's closed, but here's a local business you can support, get takeout, you're touching them somehow. I make a list of 5 people to call each week and just, hey, sometimes it's just a voicemail,
Now I'm laughing.
right?
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about wisdom you've told me over the years. And once you told me, every time you get in the car, call someone. Just every
Awesome.
time, and you end up. And I did that for a really long time. I'm not as good as it now. Maybe I reminded myself of something now. But I used to make 3 calls a day.
But the critical thing you can do now and just always, social media. There are so many examples of your network. If you comment, how much it expounds on their network. I can't touch, I did a post on LinkedIn in 48 hours and we had 13,000 views and 88 likes. I can't touch 13,000 people. 80% of them are lawyers. And just to remind them that I'm out here.
Well, so reminding them, and I've told everybody this before, I have no shame, I'll say it again. I do the tip of the day on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I think of all the tips myself. Sometimes I'm out of tips, but the most important thing I care about is the Georgia personal injury lawyer. Then the rest. I mean, as long as somebody makes it down that phrase, they know who I am. And every time they see my name, it's Georgia personal injury lawyer.
Absolutely. And
How do I come up with substance? How do you come up with substance to not bother people and also add value?
in posting or just in reminding them?
In posting, and then I guess they expand on it for everything, because I send MailChimps, for example, and I'm worried some people on this list right now, literally on this, have like unsubscribed from my email list. I won't call them out by name, but I know them. How do I balance that where I'm giving value and I'm not bothering the crap out of everybody?
Marketing, I feel, is just like guerrilla warfare. You just got to hit them different ways, but consistently. So sometimes it's snail mail with a thank you card. Sometimes it's on social media and you comment on their post. Sometimes it's a MailChimp. Maybe we don't do the MailChimp as frequently if people are, but you hit them different ways so they don't feel like you're constantly hitting them with the same post that, oh, here's another verdict. Oh, here's another verdict. Here's another verdict. I start hiding you. And the other thing is, you made a good point. If you post something, they just see your pretty face, Mike's, they see your name,
Yeah.
and they see the personal injury attorney. Always be branding yourself. Don't put sent from my iPhone, sent from my iPad. Say it's sent from Mike Rafi, personal injury attorney. Like you always.
Jess Davis has a really good line. I wish I remember what it was. I think it's something about it's a med malpractice, and their email signature. I remember once reading it and thinking how good it was. But what are some ways you see that lawyers, or really anybody, I mean, I think a lot of this applies to any industry. What are some ways you see, or I guess thoughts that people have that they think are going to be the next gold mine and don't work? I gotta get to the topic at some point of the name of this webinar. So what are some ways that you think that people either do things totally wrong, that they shouldn't be barking up that tree? What are some ideas you have?
Billboards, TV, and radio.
Okay. I know
right?
why. Tell me why.
So you can't track it, right? You can't target your audience. The client cost acquisition, usually radio ads are 100,000, billboards are 10,000, and so unless you're ahead of the game, unless you were the first one on TV, the first one with billboards, or you just bombarded the billboard landscape like Alex or, some of these people, it's too late. And so you think, hey, maybe I get 5 billboards and, spend $50,000, and no, so I just, those 3 things, just don't spend money on radio, TV, or billboards.
One of my friends put up billboards a couple of years ago, and I see it. I'm driving actually to Clayton County Courthouse, and I see the billboard. I call him up in a panic. And I'm saying, oh my God, you messed up. And he goes, what? And I said, your phone number isn't on the billboard. He goes, oh no, it's not supposed to be. It's a reminder. Like, where are people seeing you in the first place? Nobody sees me.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. The other thing is not being focused. I say do 8 lunches or 8 one-on-ones a month. And so I had one person, a young female attorney doing family law. She was hanging out with all of these CEOs of Home Depot. These are multi-million-dollar people, 60-year-old men, and she's hanging out with them. And she says, well, I did these 10 lunches, these 10 happy hours. I was like, with whom? With so-and-so. I was like, they might like your company, but I assure you, they will never send you a case. They're not going to give some rookie family law attorney who can barely do an uncontested divorce, a multi-million-dollar estate.
So where should that person be going? What's the recommendation then?
Her network of friends, right? Because eventually they will get married. They will, have issues. Tap into your community and do something that you enjoy. Don't go to something that you're not going to want to go to. You're going to feel uncomfortable. Go to something that you're already going to do. Church. Oh, wow. Your parish has 10,000 people in it. Let's tap into your church. You're there twice a week. Let's do something with that. I go to Hawks games. I'm going to Hawks games anyway. Might as well bring some lawyers with me, right? Because I'm always going to go. So find something that you enjoy doing that's in your community, in your space, and just know that you have to tweak it to market, to just remind them of who you are, and be patient.
Yeah. So we got find your people, find who you're going to contact, and think about that. I mean, you really got to think about who your target audience is.
Yep.
Make sure that you're actually doing the work, whether it's an hour a day, 8 personal meetings or Zoom meetings. I really hope the Zoom meeting thing is coming. I mean, I really do. And then third thing is make sure you're tracking. Now, let's just touch on tracking for one more second.
Sure.
What should you threw out case value, you threw out a lot of things. What should I be tracking just in terms of making the effort? I've got the hour a day. I'm doing 8 meetings a month, let's say. Mm-hmm. How do I know if that's working or not? Am I looking at intakes? Is that an easy way?
So I look at intakes. So if you see an upward tick in your intakes, right, then you're getting your message out. If you're getting an upward intake in open files as well, which your conversion ratio is improving, you've got the right message. So sometimes you can get the word out and get your intakes up, but your open files aren't getting any better. And it's because it's the wrong message.
And you're wasting your time. And you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Because you're having to deal with answering the phone for things that in the first 7 seconds, it's not the case.
You're not going to take. So it's like, okay, well, this is working to make the phone ring, but not with the type of people that I want. What do I need to adjust? So I think looking at your intakes, looking at your open files. I think also if you just set a goal, 5 hours a week, right? Well, Monday I do this on social media. Tuesday I do a blog or I attend a webinar. Thursday I reach out to a former client and ask for a testimonial. I think I skipped Wednesday. You do a Zoom lunch. And then Friday you do a Zoom virtual happy hour or something, and it's on Monday. Hey, did I do my 5 things? Great. Let's do them again.
All right. Last thing I want you to say, and I think I know your opinion on this. Give everybody listening, give them the motivation they need. We've been in quarantine for 6 weeks. Tell everybody if they're not working right now, give them the doomsday, but then be positive at the end. So tell everybody as best you can what your thoughts are on what's going on right now, and how if they're standing, in quicksand right now, they're going to be buried later. But don't scare everybody. Don't scare everybody.
So the key to marketing is getting the market share of what you want, right? I want this market share. The market share has not gone away. The same 100 people that need these services, that market share, right, are still going to be there after this is over. And so if you stop marketing, if you start contracting, you start disappearing during all of this, somebody else who's more aggressive is going to steal your market share. And so you may have had 5% of the market share, which gave you $2 million a year. But then if you start hiding, somebody else is going to come and take 3% of your market share, which is $1.25 million. And so don't disappear because somebody else is going to take your market share. And the other thing is you're going to get hit 3 times in personal injury. You're going to get hit now. You're going to get hit again in the winter, right? When these intakes and stuff, or the things that should have been closing, don't close. And then you're going to get hit again next year, next summer, for all the intakes that you would have had this year. That average case life is 12 months, 18 months. Those aren't closing. And so you have to always be marketing because you're going to get this dip again. And if this one didn't scare you, the other 2 will. And just know that you can always be doing something. There's something you can always do now. You can do webinars instead of going to conferences. You can do the Zoom lunches instead of going to lunch. You can reach out to clients, and ask for a testimonial. You can, there's tons of, be active on social media. There's things that you can always be doing right now.
And if something doesn't work, stop doing it and find something else, replace it.
Yeah. It's all about developing these habits. And so just develop the habits. And then that way, when the world opens up again, you didn't lose your market share. If anything, you're taking the market share for the people that didn't market an hour a day during COVID.
I remember when I first started doing the LinkedIn tip of the day, it would take me 5 minutes, which, the cost of that is 0. Literally, it's 5 minutes of my time. And I would do it, right when I woke up in the morning. And now if I don't do it, I start getting the shakes. It's a habit that has formed that if I don't do it, I feel weird.
And trust, just even though, 6 people commented on it or 5 people liked it, people talk to me about your tips of the day. You're not even around. Hey, did you see the tip? Did you see the tip? So it makes an impact. Even though you don't get that immediate feedback or you feel insecure, it's like, oh, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Do it anyway. Know that people are watching and it's making a difference.
Positivity at the end. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Hey, Alvaro, thank you for joining us. If anybody wants to reach you and talk more about it, how do they do that?
3A at 3alawmanagement.com is my email. You can send me a LinkedIn message, poke me on Facebook. I see a ton of clients.
Don't poke anybody. Don't poke anybody.
But I see a lot of clients on the list. Good to see you guys. Thanks for attending.
Yeah.
Hold on. There's a question, Alvaro. Based on your advice, I set targets for.
So yeah, I'll read it out just to make sure we have it. Kurt Kastorf, the smartest man in every room he goes into, I kid you not, said he set targets for business lunches, and he was hitting them, but he's been having trouble with one-on-one meetings. I feel your pain. I have too. What are some ways to have one-on-one messaging to get that one-on-one time, even in this setting where it's real tough to get one person alone now? And that's true.
So, what I had mentioned was, Missy Strickland's doing a great job. She's sending those gift cards in the mail for lunch, right? So even though I didn't talk to you, I got a nice gift from you, and it's the $50 lunch you would have spent anyway. Pick somebody to call every day. Pick 2 people to call each day and just check in on them. And again, chances are you just leave a voicemail, right? But just so there are things that you can still just kind of talk to them about, and reach out and just check in on them, even though you can't go to lunch with them. So I think just an email, drop them a line, drop them a phone call, drop them a card.
Tell them how important they are. Say, hey, you're really
Yeah.
important. I'd love to talk to you one-on-one. I know that might sound weird, but you got 3 minutes to spare. I mean,
The other thing, a lot of people are going crazy, and they miss that interaction. So, Donna, okay. So yeah, I mean, they miss that interaction. So just checking in on them, seeing it, hearing a familiar voice goes a long way.
All right, Alvaro, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. I know everybody does.
Thanks, guys.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, everybody. So now you're stuck with me for the last few minutes of this thing. We got about a half hour left. Rodney's asking right now about tips for marketing if you're not a lawyer. He works at a personal injury firm, but he's a paralegal and also takes on work from other places. Rodney, I truly believe this. I think everything I'm going to hopefully talk about over the next 30 minutes or so applies to almost all small businesses. So hang with me. If I don't give you an answer to your question in a big picture, let's follow up after, all right? So Alvaro talked about the process of reaching out to clients or contacts. I'm going to call them contacts because what do you do with contacts? You contact them. That is the whole name of this game. Alvaro talked about the process by which you do that. First, you need to set a goal. What are you trying to do? My goal, I want to spend 10 hours a week marketing, okay? It used to be less, it used to be more. I find that 10 hours is about the right time for me, and that changes. That will change from month to month. The second thing is you're setting goals for what the results you want are. Now, how many intakes do you want? How many calls do you want? Whatever it is, make sure your goals are specific, make sure they're timely, make sure that the goals are things that you can track. That's the most important thing. Once you set the goals, you then need to actually do the work. You got to go out and you got to meet people and reach people, contact people. And I'm going to spend most of my time talking to you about the ways to contact people. Once you have a list of contacts, you then have to marry that to the idea of what message are you going to send or what message are you going to convey to get the work. So the two parts of this are your contact list and then your USP, not UPS, USP. That's your unique selling proposition. There's a million ways to name your sales pitch, but I'm going to call it a USP. All right. Let's start with the contacts. The Republican Party, the Democratic Party, companies, Coke, Pepsi, all these big companies, they pay millions and millions and millions of dollars to get your email address, to get your name, to get your home address, and to find out whatever they can about you. They are data mining you. And the reason they're doing that is because they want to reach you. It's the same reason that when you buy something off of J. Crew, you then get 9 million emails because they know that you're their target. You are a customer that will spend money with them. It's why at CVS, they want your email for your stupid extra care card, okay? Take that process, that procedure, and use it yourself. A year ago, or excuse me, when I first started, my first year, I had about 800 people on my contact list. I got that from searching every email I'd ever sent, from making sure every single person I talked to, I asked them for their email. Now my list is about 6,000 people. So I'm growing about 1,000, 1,200 people per year. That has expanded my reach, even if they all don't work. The contact list that you have, Alvaro said needs to be sorted, and his tier list was mainly on a list of who you are going to refer cases to. I'm going to show you something that I think will stress how important a referral list is for you. If you all look at my screen right here, this is our home page. This is the home page of the Rafi Law Firm's internal systems. If you were in my first webinar, then you actually saw me run through our internal systems. But the bottom right here, updated 4/1/2020. That is our referral list. So if you're sitting here, if you want to do an hour of marketing today, if you're sitting on this webinar and I don't know you, you don't know me, I can promise you, or even if we do know each other, you can't guarantee you're on my referral list. You can't. There's some people I know that they know they are, but there's a lot of people, 100 people here, that have no idea if you're on my referral list. So when I email you later on, email me back and tell me, Mike, put me on your referral list. Here's what I do. Here's what I want. And I'll do that. We update our referral list, as you can see, all the time. Okay? So that's your tiers for your referral list, because when clients call you, you need to be able to place them with who they need to go to. Okay? But let's talk about how you're going to tier your contact list, the people you want to reach and get business from. I'm a simple person. I can't do all this tiering, so I only have 3 tiers, and they're pretty simple. Tier 1, these are people that get the kind of cases that I want, and people that I think will probably send them to me. Okay? Get the kind of cases I want, and I think will probably send them to me. That's tier 1. Tier 2, it's a mix of either you get the cases I want, and I got to work really hard to try to get you to send them to me. Maybe I don't have a relationship with you. Or people that may get the cases I want, but will definitely send them to me. So tier 1, you're getting the cases I want, and you're probably going to send them to me. Tier 2, you're either getting the cases I want, but I don't think you will yet, or maybe you'll get the cases I want and you will send them to me. Tier 3 is everybody else. Tier 3 is everybody else. That doesn't mean tier 3 people aren't important, but they're tier 3 because they're not getting the cases I want and they're not going to send them to me. So while those folks are valuable, maybe they get a one-off, maybe they'll look me up sometime. That's not where I want to focus my effort. So I've got tier 1, tier 2, everybody else. And when I say everybody else, I mean everybody. Friends, family, the guy who sold me a car 3 years ago. I mean, anybody that you can possibly think of, anyone who's ever given me a business card gets some sort of message from me at least once a month. So what do I do now when I have my contact list? How am I going to reach these people? Well, you're going to come up with a unique selling proposition. And I used to have terrible unique selling propositions because it was really hard. It was hard when I first started out because, one, I didn't have a good contact list, but more importantly, I didn't have anything great to sell. At least I didn't think I did. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, 5, 6 years ago, whatever it is, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, I don't have any great verdicts. I haven't handled a lot of cases compared to some people. I just started my firm. What am I going to sell? If you're in this spot, or even if you're not, I'll tell you the things you can sell right now. You can always sell customer service, responsiveness, and respect. You can always sell those things. Lawyers are told all the time, don't guarantee things. You can't guarantee things. You can guarantee a ton of things, especially to lawyers that you want cases from. I can guarantee to you that if you call me and I miss your call, I'll call you back. I mentioned that I was going to talk about my mom here. I grew up in a house where my parents ran a small business out of our house, and they still do. This is, 1990s, so caller ID may have been a thing. There's no, voicemail. There's no cell phones, at least that everybody in the world has. So you missed a lot of calls, and leaving a message on the answering machine wasn't a big deal. My parents didn't have somebody that answered the phones. So they made a promise to people. When somebody called and got the voicemail, got the answering machine, the promise was, if you're leaving this call before 5 o'clock, we will call you back by 5 o'clock the same day. And they always did. The house could have been on fire, a tornado coming down the street, about to hit the house. My mom was going to pick up the phone before 5 o'clock, and she was going to call every single person back because that was the promise. So what I encourage you to do is think about the promises that you can make to your contacts. I promise I'll call you back. I promise that, one promise I make to people, I promise that if you refer me a case, I will make you look good. Now, is that subjective? Sure. But is it a good promise? I think so. Isn't that the whole idea? You refer me a case, I'm supposed to make you look good. That's what I hope lawyers do when I refer them cases. I promise that when I get the settlement money, I'll pay you immediately. I'm not going to hold your money, and I'm going to make it a priority that you get paid. So I think that you can think of promises, guarantees that you can do no matter what industry you're in, and no matter what your level of expertise, no matter what your level of experience, you can promise people things that no matter what, okay? I promise you that if I meet somebody that I think will be a benefit to you, I'll connect you with them. Promising. So with my unique selling propositions, which have changed over the years because now I can say certain things that I used to not be able to say. Like I'm able to, even on costs, I'm able to fund the entire case. There were some cases way back in the day I couldn't do that. But I can tell people, and honestly so, that I believe dollar for dollar, I'll get you better value than somebody else. And I can show you results that while we can't do a crystal, a perfect comparison, I can show you results that reflect that. But if you can or if you can't, think of ways that you can promise people. And your unique selling proposition might be different for different people. So a unique selling proposition for a personal injury lawyer may be that I'll take the case, I won't bother you. A high volume personal injury lawyer, I'll take the case, I won't bother you, I'll give you some updates, but I will not need anything from you. I will take complete ownership so you can go do what you need to do. It may be a lawyer wants to have a lot of updates. So I say to him, I'll promise you that once a month, I'll give you an update about what's going on in the case. Now, sometimes that update might be nothing's going on, but that's the update. I would say that if you are going to give updates, which you should tell whoever sent you the case 3 things: what you did last month, what you're doing right now, and what you're going to do next month. That way you're showing your work. It's almost like 5th grade math. You might have got the answer wrong. You might have gotten it wrong, what the answer was because you didn't carry the 1, but the teacher knows you know how to do it. So I think showing your work to referral sources is really important. So you have your unique selling proposition. You know what you're going to sell. You got maybe different ways to how you're going to do that. Another extreme for a unique selling proposition, I was talking about to somebody about this yesterday, or 2 days ago, was, if you're a younger lawyer, if you're looking to learn, give me the case, but I'll keep you involved. I'll tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing. We'll have discussions. You come to depositions. Hopefully you can take some and we can work it together. That's a lot of fun for me. That might not be something you want to do, so don't offer it. But if it is, you need to come up with a list of things that you can sell to people so that way that they get value and benefit from you, because it is about the other person. It's not about you. So you got your unique selling proposition and you have your contacts. Now you need to somehow get your unique selling proposition to your contacts. There's a billion ways, and I'm not going to list them all. There's a billion ways. But here are the most common ways and what I've learned about them. First thing is direct emails. When I first started out, I'm saying, I'm just going to email people directly. Literally, I went on Google and I Googled personal injury lawyers, car wrecks, and I emailed people. I kid you not, I'm almost positive. John Bay's still on here. John Bay, I'll guarantee you I sent you an email and you ignored it, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Here's why. John Bay doesn't know at that point who the heck I am. Never heard of me. Why is he going to respond to an email some guy trying to pitch him? I don't think that direct emails work. What I've learned a better way to do this is if I want to go meet John Bay, I go on Facebook, I see who our mutual contacts are. I try to get a setup with him. I try to find somebody. Maybe I find somebody that used to work for him. I will go to the end of the earth to try to find a mutual connection to get me to that person. Because if I am introduced by somebody, I have a much, much, much better success rate. I was talking about this the other day, and I said I wasn't going to say this, but I figured I might as well. I'll tell you how I've met some people that I couldn't find a way to reach because I didn't know them. And I go on Facebook, I go on LinkedIn, I don't know this person, nobody I know knows them. I'm thinking, how am I going to reach this person that I've identified as a tier 1 target, or I guess a tier 2 target, a tier 2 person that I want to make a tier 1 target. If you're on a listserv, I'm on the Georgia Trial Lawyers Association listserv. I'll tell you a quick story of what I did once. I was looking to meet somebody, couldn't figure out a way to get in contact with them. Maybe I knew some people, but I didn't want to be introduced through those people. So I went back and I searched that person's name in the Georgia Trial Lawyer Association listserv. And I kid you not, it was like back in like 2013 that this person had posted about looking for an expert who's a pharmacist. I don't need a pharmacist. I don't have a case that involves a pharmacist. But here's what I did. I said to them, and I'll tell you all this because I think that this shows you how, even if you don't agree with this, it'll show you what other people are doing and what you're up against. Because Alvaro said, you know, it's a fight out there. I'm fighting y'all sometimes. You're fighting me. Hopefully we all work together, truthfully. But I found this person and I sent them an email and said, hey, my name's Mike. I saw your post back in 2013. It's like 2016, 2017. And I said, you know, I may have a case that involves a pharmacist. Factually, that's true. I may have a case, may not. Did you get a response and who did you hire? And the person writes back, you know, here's who I came up with, here's who I found. And I said, thank you so much for helping me. You know, I'd really love to return the favor. Do you mind if I give you a call and I talk to you, or do you mind if I take you out to breakfast? So I will figure out any way to meet somebody, just like finding a witness. You know, if there's a witness out there, I promise you I'll find them. So contacts are even easier. So direct emails did not work for me. Expensive gifts, holiday gifts. I get a ton of them every year. If you're on this list and you send me a holiday gift, don't. Literally don't. What happens is my staff eats the cookies you sent. My other lawyers drink the alcohol you send. By the end, I don't even know who came up with who and who sent what. And plus, I get like 30 things. I mean, I don't know. I get a ton of stuff. You know, that's not selling me. So I don't do that. I did that once and I spent a lot of money and it didn't work. There's a lawyer that I know that I think is really smart. And I look forward to his postcard every year, but it's a 4th of July postcard. That's all it is. It's just a postcard. And every 4th of July, I know I'm going to get it. And I know what he's doing. And I think it's brilliant. He's saying, I need to reach people. This is a cheap, effective way. And nobody else is sending 4th of July cards. It's literally the polar opposite of a holiday card in December. So if you're looking to reach people, I think you can do it cheaply. I don't think that you need to spend a lot of money. Just like expensive dinners or lunches. Again, this is just me. Taking me to go get tacos is just as good as taking me to some fancy place. In fact, I feel more comfortable getting tacos. And I think that goes for most people. You know, I don't see the need to spend a ton of money on sources, on contacts, until you have that relationship. And then truthfully, even if you had that relationship, why are you then spending all that money on the person? You can value that person through other things. Now, if you like to go get a steak with the person, go do that. I'm not telling you not to. Mike Joffrey asked about a newsletter. And if you're on this list and you haven't unsubscribed, you get my MailChimp. I don't do hard copy newsletters for 2 reasons. One, I don't like writing about myself or what's going on. So, and I'll touch on that later. The second thing is it requires a lot of manpower, or you have to outsource. There's tons of companies that will send mailers to people for you. You just give them your contact list and they send. But I don't do that. But I will tell you that when I get newsletters, there's a guy, John Fisher, up in New York. I get his newsletter every month, and I read every word. Ken Shigley sends out a newsletter about his life. He enjoys doing that. So I think that a newsletter is good in person, in paper, because it's going to that person and sitting on their desk. And then I'm looking at my desk and I'm saying, oh, Michael Joffrey, I mean, you're on my mind. Also, in terms of mailing, I've never met a person who says, I hate getting mail. Never met anybody like that. So every time I go to a lunch, a breakfast, whatever, meet somebody, I send them a card that just says, hey, great to meet you. Thanks so much. Let me know how I can help you. That's okay. But I wanted to do something that was more memorable. So if I see y'all doing this, I'll know where you got it from. I didn't come up with the idea myself, so steal at will. But what I do now is I go and buy scratch-off lottery tickets. It makes me think of my grandma, which is what we always did. So I like going to buy scratch-off tickets. So I take the scratch-off and I put it in my card, and I write the same thing. Great to meet you, good seeing you, whatever. And then I say, hey, let's work a case together and let's hit the jackpot. Good luck on this scratch-off. I hope you hit the jackpot. And I've had people that sent me back $2 because that's what they won. I've had people send me pictures of winning $100. I mean, and it's fun and it makes me memorable. So that's an idea I've come up with direct mailing. I also feel like if I'm handwriting something, although it looks like I'm in prison because my handwriting is atrocious, if I'm handwriting something, you know I sat down for 2 minutes and I thought about you and I wrote to you. Alvaro and I talked about the calls. I can't see a single reason not to do this. And I kid you not, when I leave my office today, I'm going to make these calls. When you get in the car, if you don't have somebody else to call, and of course, if you have hands free and all that good stuff, which I hope we all do, I would tell you, pick a person and call them and say hello. Literally, just say hello. What's up? If y'all don't have something to talk about now, literally, while the whole world is sitting inside, you're never going to find anything to talk about. Ask them how terrible their life is if they're homeschooling their kids and trying to work and also trying to do all this other stuff. Ask them how they're surviving. Ask them if they're excited to get back to work. But give them a call. That 5-minute call goes such a long way. Tonight, while you're sitting watching Bosch on Amazon Prime, great show, by the way, as you're sitting there, send 10 text messages. Hey, what's going on? How are you holding up? Some of you have probably gotten my text messages, but I've sent that. Recommendation, don't send 100 text messages, so that way you can actually respond to the people and have a conversation with them. But that goes a really long way. Alvaro mentioned social media, and I mentioned my tip of the day. I look at social media on 2 different ways. One, I look at social media that I want to post and I want people to see me. And I also want to like, comment on other people's posts so that I'm active and they see me. I hate social media. I hate it. I wish it didn't exist. I have to have a Facebook because in order to have a business page, I have to have a personal Facebook. I don't like doing LinkedIn, so I don't do it. I have a Twitter. I don't post anything on there. Maybe my office manager might do it automatically through a program we use, but I don't like doing that stuff. I would much rather spend my time in other places. So what I do is I put in what I think is the minimum to at least keep me active, which I spend 2 minutes a day doing the LinkedIn tip of the day. And then I comment on some people that I want to do. That's what I do. We have a birthday card list. You might have seen it in the main page of my server that I showed you. Above referral list is birthday list. So if we learn your birthday, whether you're a client, whether you're somebody else, I send you a birthday card at the beginning of the month. I handwrite, I say happy birthday, and I send it out. It costs nothing in terms of time and energy, and I get to see you, or you get to see me, and you get something that says Rafi Law Firm on it, and people get happy about that. Kurt's asking if I've been satisfied with the effectiveness of my e-newsletter. You know what, to be honest, I don't have great expectations, because if you send me an email, I'm probably going to unsubscribe from it if I can. I get, I don't know, 1,000 emails a day. So I am aggressive on the unsubscribe, and I expect everybody to do that. So it doesn't hurt my feelings if you unsubscribe. But it's been effective in the sense that I have 97 people here. I don't know how you all joined me. I'd love to know how you found here. But, it's helped certainly. Before coronavirus, I had started doing a twice a month email newsletter that had nothing to do with me specifically. It was a email, and if y'all have gotten it, that's great. It said all of the networking events and some fun things that you can do around Atlanta in the next 2 weeks. So it may say Saturday you can go to a Hawks game. Sunday you should watch the Falcons. Monday there's this breakfast you can go to. Thursday is the small firm section of the Atlanta bar. Come to the lunch. And my goal was to give value to people. And I'll touch on that in just 2 minutes here. To give value, because I think that's one of the most important concepts here. Nick Schneider is on here, I think, at least he was. And Nick Schneider puts on happy hours. And he's great at that. I imagine he likes them. And they're great, and he meets people and all that. If happy hour is your thing, you can do that. Here's some tips on marketing that I've learned over the years. If you can, at least in my world, pick breakfasts over lunches and dinners. Breakfasts over lunches and dinners. And the reason for that is it takes up less time, it's less intrusive in your day, and it's somewhat easier for me. If you can't get out of the office, get out of the house, you got other commitments, find somewhere else. I literally, at what time is this? At 10 o'clock this morning, so it's probably an automated generated email. I got this email. I'm gonna show it to you. I was sitting here preparing and I get this email. It is from the Atlanta Bar Association and it's the Atlanta Lawyer. Oh, I lost it, sorry. It is the Atlanta Lawyer. If you scroll down here, it says, enjoy the Atlanta Lawyer, get involved, submit an article. Like, these people are telling you we need articles. So if you are someone who wants to write an article, if you find that fun, if you don't find it terrible, write them an article, submit it. I've written articles in the GTLA Verdict magazine that I've written two. One of those articles got published in other states' magazines. So I mean, your reach is great. Look, they're even telling you down here that their reach is 5,000 people. There are things that you can do if you really just think about it. So you need to just keep your eyes peeled and your ears open for ideas. You know, how did I start doing these webinars? Well, right before coronavirus, I was supposed to do an in-person CLE and it got canceled, but they moved it to virtual. And I got done with it, and some of y'all are on that. And I said to myself, I could do this. And then I went and I bought a Zoom account so I could do webinars. I created the webinar, and I was hoping for 15 people for the first webinar, and I got 40. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Now we're at 97. Last week we're at over 100. Last 2 weeks we've been over 100. So I'm reaching people, and I've heard from other people that said, hey, I know you're doing webinars. One of the webinars from Damages, 200 people watched on YouTube. Did I know that that would happen? No. But here's the thing. What did this cost me? A Zoom subscription, which is surprisingly cheap. An hour of my time to actually do this, and then whatever the preparation is. And if you can tell, preparation is mainly just me. You got a quick glimpse of my outline. It's me just telling you what's in my head already. So, I mean, this doesn't take a ton of energy for me to do to prepare. Maybe I should, sorry. So the 2 or 3 thoughts I want to leave you with are, first, you have to take risks. The only way to effectively market is to put yourself out there. Jeff Shiver told me this a long time ago. He said, you got to put yourself out there. Nobody knows who you are. And you got to be unafraid of people that don't like you, people that don't want to do business with you, people that think you're stupid. I did a whole damn email about Tiger King. Literally, my first marketing email for these webinars was about Tiger King. Why? Because I thought it was funny. Some people thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. That's fine. I probably don't like you, and I probably don't want to do business with you. We wouldn't get along. So I think you got to be yourself. You got to put yourself out there, and you truly have to be yourself. Because if somebody doesn't like you, so what? You probably won't like them anyway. But 99% of the time, people at least will understand your humor, kind of get it. And if you're genuine and honest and yourself, at a minimum, people have to respect you. I mean, they have to. The second thing is, I stress, like Alvaro, you need to track. You need to track your marketing. If you don't know how often you're marketing and what you're doing, you don't know what's working. In my calendar, all of my marketing is green. It's just color-coded green. So when I look at my calendar and I see a ton of green, I feel good. If I don't see a lot of green, I say, I've got to pick it up. I've got to pick it up. So that's a verbal cue, or excuse me, a visual cue of mine to be able to look at my calendar and know if I'm doing a good job. Okay? Right now, with the time, with more time on my hands, because I'm not traveling to depositions, I'm not commuting to work, I'm putting in at least 2 hours of marketing a day. Some of that marketing is spent doing this. Some of it is spent in internal systems. Some of it's spent helping other lawyers market. But you've got to put the time in, and then you have to track it. So if your intakes went down, I can look back at my calendar and say, you know, I had this trial this past month. It was a week and a half. I missed a week and a half marketing. I think I understand why that happened. You then need to be, I don't know the word here. You then need to be aggressive in ditching marketing efforts that don't work. So you need to put in the time. You need to put in the time. and figure out if things work. Sometimes for some marketing that could take 5 minutes. Some that might take years. If you're volunteering, for example, which hopefully you're doing for reasons other than getting business. But if you're volunteering at an organization, you're not trusted by those people until you've been a repeat customer, until you're coming back there, being genuine and helping. Then you gain the trust. Once you do that, a volunteering or a bar association or a group, any sort of membership-driven group, once you're trusted by those folks, it's a great referral source, great referral system and place to get cases. But it takes time. If it's not working for you, you got to cut it. And then you got to move on. So you need to be aggressive in your time because your time is extremely valuable. Everybody can't go market for 5 hours because we don't have the time. So if it's not working for you, cut it. And here's the last thing I will tell you, the very last thing. The only marketing that you will do repeatedly, the only marketing that you will do effectively, and the only marketing that will actually make you happy is marketing that you like doing. Alvaro says he goes to Hawks games. He sits right on the floor. That's awesome. He loves doing that. I can tell, he gets so excited. He's like a kid. If you watch him, you see him on TV, you can see him jumping, screaming, and he's talking to LeBron James. That's marketing for him, though, and he loves doing it. If you don't like basketball, don't go buy Hawks tickets. If you don't like writing articles, don't go write an article for the Atlanta Bar. Some of this is self-reflection. You need to look at yourself and say, what do I like doing? I was talking to somebody before this webinar started about golf. Somebody asked if I played golf. I said, yeah, sometimes I'm okay. Well, if you are a big golfer, go play golf with people. If you don't like playing golf, don't. I didn't play golf for 3 years straight. And anytime somebody asked me to play golf, I'd say, no, I don't want to. The things that I like doing are interacting with people. I like going to lunches and breakfasts and dinners. I like doing this webinar, even though it's kind of one-sided, I still get to interact with everybody. I like sending stupid emails. I'm the dude on the group text that sends ridiculous memes and like stupid GIFs, however you pronounce it. I'm that guy on my group texts. So that's kind of what I do in emails, like literally in marketing emails. Because at a minimum, even if I'm not getting business out of it, I find it fun. And that's kind of the name of the game. The only thing that you will actually do repeatedly, the only thing you'll get excited to do, the only thing you'll put time and effort into doing is things you like doing, are things you like doing. So you need to find those things. And if I can go real big picture, I'm not the best person to be saying this, although I understand the concept. You need to find those things that you enjoy, that you like, that you want to do in your life. And if you can make them into marketing, that's great. But if not, go do those things. There's no point of spending an hour a day being miserable, no matter what you're doing. So if you can find something to do for an hour a day, which I guarantee that you can, me guaranteeing to you, I guarantee you can find something to do for an hour a day that will generate business for you and increase your profits, and you'll have a really good time doing it. All right, I'm going to look at my list real quick and see if I've missed anything. Alvaro mentioned, and this is really important, that you should be asking your contacts to introduce you to other contacts. I can't stress that enough. Every person that you meet, you should tell them two things. One is, I will help you. I will help you. If I've talked to anybody, if I've talked to you since these webinars started, and if you're on my email list, I've sent out briefs, motions, I've sent out workflows, I've sent out, if you want it, I'll send it to you. Just tell me, I'll send it to you. So I think you have to help people. You have to help people. If you're not helping people, then even if you're doing it for personal motives, if you're helping people, even if it's for personal motives, you're still giving. I firmly believe that people do things to make themselves feel good. Hopefully you can feel good by helping other people. And people will respect you and trust you for that. So if you're helping people and introducing them to other people, saying, who in my network can I introduce you to? Then the third thing, or the second thing that you want is, hey, send me a case. And also, who do you think would benefit from me meeting them? Who do you think I could help? Who else could I help? And that's the word that I think needs to be on your mind. Help, 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 help. You've got to be helping people. That is the best way to market. So figure out how you can add value in people's lives, whether it's a dumb newsletter that tells them the exciting things going on in Atlanta for the next 2 weeks, whether it's webinars like this, whether it's picking up the phone and curing someone's boredom when they've been locked in their house for 6.5 weeks. Make those phone calls today. So let me see if I've missed any questions here. One thing I didn't mention is testimonials, which are extremely important. So we have a system in place that any client, whether, well, I shouldn't say client, any person who contacts our law firm gets asked for a testimonial. So assuming we think it will go well, if somebody calls us up and says, hey, will you represent me in this MedMal case? And we say, I'm sorry, we don't think that we'd be able to win the case. And they get all mad at us. I'm not going to go ask that person for a review. But I have a lot of reviews where somebody calls and I say, you know, ma'am, I don't think you have a case. Here's why. I'm wrong a lot. Ask anybody who knows me, I'm wrong all the time. You may want to call these other lawyers. But you know what would really help me? Would you mind if I sent you a link? Would you mind giving me a review on Google? People do it. People do it all the time. So I think you want to have a system in place that you ask for reviews. You want to make it very easy for people to give you reviews, whether that's giving them a link or step-by-step instructions on how to do it. But I'm asking for testimonials all the time. I'm asking people to say 3 things about me if they're up for it. 1, we worked really hard on your case. We cared about you. 2, we answered the phone when you called. We called you back and we gave you updates. 3, we got a good result. Why is good result 3? Why is good result 3? Because the most important thing that people want from lawyers is they want to be kept in the process and they want to be valued. The truth is, clients don't know if their injury is worth $100,000, $200,000, $1 million. That's your job. You have to do your job well, but they don't know that. What they know is Mike Rafi answered the phone when I called. Chris Stokes, he emailed me. Chris Jackson in my office, he drove to my house to pick up something rather than me having to mail it or go there. They care about that stuff. They care about you being a good person to them. We are in a customer service business. We are customer service business. Now, unlike defense lawyers, we get to say no to some people. I get to say, you know, ma'am, you have a case. And I'm thinking this in my head. You're absolutely crazy. You're a lunatic. You're out of your mind. I don't know what's wrong with you. Ma'am, I understand you have a case. You know, we're not able to help you right now. I am so sorry. What else can I do? Do you want me to help you find another lawyer? Do you want me to do this? But I'm not able to take your case. I have the ability to say no. And if you own your own business, that is the number one thing that you have. You have the ability to say no. You don't always have the ability to say yes on the cases you want. You can say no on the ones you don't want. So that's why your unique selling proposition, you need to make it so that you need to make your propositions, your USPs, plural, you need to make them so that you're targeting the cases that you want. And then you're able to work those cases, do right by those clients, and get the testimonials. And the testimonials, I think, should say, they cared about me, they answered my questions, kept me updated, and yeah, I got a really good result. So those are the 3 things that I want.